Hey, you wonderful people. So, have you ever had this weird thing where it seems like you are the only freaking one going through some weird ass issues? Where that is your physical body having something that you haven't heard before, or just sort of like something you haven't dealt with, and you try to ask like other people, and maybe even looking at those who were like pros working with all these issues, and they're like, no, I have never dealt with that thing. And what I'm talking about is like sometimes our physical body or our life seems to be such a mess that no one we freaking know has anything like we have. Where is your physical body? Like maybe, like I'm doing sessions with some people, and let's say where they eat, and it doesn't matter what they eat, they can live freaking healthy, like be vegetarians, be vegans, or just like try to be very picky and like just like try to take care of themselves. And no matter how healthy they try to eat, their whole body goes nuts. Like it's like a like allergic reaction where they get bumps, where they get injection and other things. For example, there are people who can only eat red fruits. They try another color, boom, the body starts like reacting allergetically, and like it's just like rejecting everything. Or maybe you feel like, hey, you're all alone. Everyone freaking ignores you. You can't connect to anyone. You're stuck. No one talks to you. You try to connect, but like you're just like walls everywhere. No matter how hard you work to get out there, nothing. And there's like tons of things that can be going on in your life, and where those are like unexplained phenomena, or maybe trying to get some help with the doctors and just saying like, "What? You're one of those 0.0005% of people that we can't help with. So our medicine is ain't working on you. Sorry about that." Or like a person that cannot be hypnotized, or maybe visuals and all this stuff. So there's a lot of issues going on. Well, wanted to bring this up because as I was working with a few people, I just sort of got this a good reminder that a lot of times our problems are not ours. And what I mean is, it's not just entities in our space. It's not just entities having these little thoughts and feelings, and then we pick it up. There's literally another being trapped within you. And it might sound weird, sure, but consider it this. You buy an item from a store, and whether you buy it from abroad, like maybe you order it online or something, or you go to a store and get it. For example, imagine what if this phone, like let's say, oh, not specifically this phone, but maybe this case. I have an awesome phone case. So like let's say I got this case from China, and each single item has its own energy. Each single item has its own energy, and like you feel it, you touch it. I think of those maybe telepathic extrasensory people as pers who can come at the object, touch it, look at it, and they will feel the energy of people who have used it in the past. And we might see some shows or like people who touch a thing like how this object belongs to this person, this is how they feel, and they never knew the person at all, but they touched the object and the object carries information about them. So it's very much like that. But now consider this being the actual object. And what I'm talking about, a lot of times our physical body falls asleep, and when we are asleep, our consciousness is being taken. And a lot of times, we're dreaming. We're dreaming all the time. We're getting out of body, we're doing like astral projection, but we are not necessarily aware of those things. Or you actually get out, you actually manage to astral project, you're out there, but you either get pushed back in the body and everything's wiped, or literally something happens out there and you get this memory wipe where you wake up, it's like, I don't remember dreaming. I just woke up like really tired, kind of stiffish, but I don't remember anything at all. Well, just because we don't remember anything does not mean that nothing happens throughout the night. And some people have horrible night experiences where literally they're like clenching their teeth and they wake up with blood in their mouth, or like they're constantly scratching themselves. And there's like a lot of things happening when the physical body falls asleep and they're not aware of like why. Like I don't really stress much in life, but I really hate sleeping. Every time I fall asleep, I just like feel like sleeping will make me sleep even more. Like it does not give them any rest. It actually exhausts them. And like there's a lot of issues going on. Well, what I'm trying to say is I'm working with people and I'm seeing that our astral bodies are being messed with. And because our astral body is more like just like, let's say, energetic body, it's the energy. And now consider the energy having this overlay of implant, for example. And if, let's say, you get out of body, or you have an astral projection, or it happens but you don't know about it, or you don't know about it but during the night when you were asleep, someone pulled your astral body out, messed with it, and put it back in, and you have no memories. You sort of like, well, I don't remember anything, I just woke up, it was all back, no dreams or anything, but you feel kind of weirdish. And so, like, some people literally, once your physical body falls asleep, the astral body is now, let's say, in the lab, is being messed with. And some people might get like, have you ever been like on a surgery, on, I don't know, anesthesia, where you're like falling asleep and they're like working on you? If I'm saying it right, I hope I'm saying it right. But anyway, there's like a lot of things that happen, and it seems that there is that key moment where everything in our life changes. And after that moment, it feels like where you have amnesia, where you have some other things going, one little click, and everything is different. Well, some people have this astral overlay, or like, let's say, astral implant, but that's like an energetic overlay. And in the recent session I was working, it's like someone created this like artificial spine, and it's like an overlay, it's just like energy, right? So it's kind of like this, like a string, and like, we have our spine, so it's kind of like ingested within, and each of those, like, it's kind of like having these little needles that go within your body, and after it's injected, each of those points has this little storage place. And what happens, like, beings like you, consciousness, it can be captured if the consciousness agrees that it is limited. For example, the moment we start putting labels on ourselves that I'm a starseed, I'm a human, I'm this year's, like, this is my age and all this stuff. So we start putting labels on who we are, how we see ourselves, and that's putting ourselves in this prison, putting ourselves in the cage, like labeling ourselves. Like, don't do that. So with all these things, when consciousness starts labeling itself, we start over identifying with the labels and losing, like, hey, I am limitless, I'm infinite, I am free, I can do absolutely everything. We go from there into, I'm a human being. I cannot get out of body. I cannot visualize. I cannot that. Boom, boom, boom. And you have your standard belief system about you. Beings who have been messed with, where they have gone through the soul traps, where they have been tortured. There's a lot of things that happen out there. Those that have been messed with, and that mess with enough where they experience the mind wipe, and try the mind wipe, they sort of get, let's say, attached to this energy. And so, for example, like this, let's say, astral spine or something else, it's kind of like the best way I can probably show you is, for example, a second, we have a phone here, and consider that being your body. And now this is like an overlay. This is an entity, right? So like, or let's say like another consciousness. What it do is like it's merging. So now these two objects become one, and they act as one unit without being aware that like they're different. So now you have your physical body, but this overlay, let's say my little case is like a little overlay, but it's like the astral body. It's one with you. It's like constantly within. But this one just got a massive load of other beings, right, from your space. And these beings, just like you, have their own past lives. They have their own issues. They have their own understanding. And whether they have gone through the mind wipe or something else, there's a lot of things in there that we might not know about. But let's say that these people got messed with, and now they got trapped within your physical body. They're more like a natural body. They're within your space, like a little consciousness, but it's kind of like being trapped within a container. Some of you might have had a dream where you're in this room, you're in one place, but you can't really get out. There's no door, no windows. You're stuck in this one place, and you're like, how the hell do I get out? Like, I'm trapped. These beings, the consciousness, is trapped within our physical body. They don't hear you, they don't see you, not necessarily, or some maybe do. So 50-50, there's a lot of variations. But let's say they have no contact with you at all. The thing, like, this physical body is them right now. They're supposed to control it, but they have a hard time using it. And it's great if it's just like you and this one being. But a lot of times we have a massive package coming up with from 1 to 10 to 50, however many. And let's say this package comes with a lot of beings. Each of them might have specific location within your body. They might be in your head area. They might be in your neck and shoulders, maybe your lower spine. Maybe you're like, my stomach feels weird. Like, scan your body. Do you have some weird sensations where you kind of like maybe feel an ache, or maybe like kind of like weird stuff happening with it? Maybe you have a period and it just like hurts like hell. Like every time you get in the period, it's just like it's a killer. You start going. So I was like, what the hell? Maybe you have a massive migraines. Maybe your body aches in ways like like you can't digest stuff. You're bloating. You sort of like have a hard time eating things. Your body will have a thing or two going on, and the thing is, those issues are not necessarily yours. It's not necessarily your fault for that. There's another party. And what I'm trying to say is people who get trapped within a space, the consciousness, they might not know about us, but they have their own history. And whatever has happened in their own life in the past, whatever they have gone through, they have their own case. And when they're trapped within your space, it's more like they're trying to control your body. Your physical body is like, okay, I'm gonna lay down, try to fall asleep, maybe practice getting out of body, and you're just like trying to lay still. And you're like, okay. And you're just chilling. This being within you is like, I'm not tired yet. And this body is just like, I can't stand. Like, why are you laying there? I want to be active. Entertain me. And they're going to look for ways to do something. They might want to act. They might feel energetic. They might want to learn something, read something. And then you feel this like, I'm going to toss and turn because I can't find places. It's really hard to fall asleep. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's like you're constantly being clumsy. Like everything just keeps falling out of your hands. Or maybe you have this thing where you're completely alone because you can't connect to people. Like no matter how hard you try to connect to them, there's just this massive wall. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault this happening. Some of these beings hate people. Some of these beings are afraid. And if they're found out, they're scared. So they will do everything they can to block the connection. And while you're reaching out and you're like, hey, I just want to talk about a few things. And you're trying to be friendly. Maybe you're just like trying to talk to someone and people ignore you. They leave you. They don't react to you. Or they're like, hi. And then they go away. And you're like, why is everyone leaving me? Like, what the hell? But it's not because of you. It's not your fault. Some of the beings within our spaces we're not aware of, they're like, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you right now. No. And they're like kind of like have their own case about things, but they project this like harsh connection. They project this like maybe aggressiveness, maybe like you're afraid, get away from me. And there's sort of like put a wall and you're trying to connect, but this other being creates a massive wall. And you're trying to reach out, but like it gets stuck. So there's a lot of things happening. And a lot of times, a lot of our problems are not ours. But because these beings and their consciousness is within us, and they might be trapped in their body, and there's actually might be more than one, like you're trying to live your life, but there are other beings with their own case. They have their own issues. They might be afraid of people. They might have died from eating certain foods. They might have lived a cruel life, or they might have been stabbed in the stomach. And now you're like, I'm having periods, and you have this massive cramps and you're like feel like dying and stuff. You might have a massive headache. You eat some stuff and you're like, damn, your body's reacting weird. Well, these people have their own issues. And your body is like another entity on its own. The thing is, like, the way our consciousness is one thing. The way our body is another thing. Two completely separate beings. And literally, you can communicate and talk to your body. And your body, because of we have little bacteria and parasites and all this stuff within our system, we can communicate with them. But the body in itself is another entity. And you might try to talk like, hey, thank you for taking care of me. I really appreciate all the hard work of you protecting me and making sure like I'm healthy. I really appreciate you. How many of you talk to your body? A few maybe, because we're assuming like, hey, it's just me. I'm doing fine. I'm eating healthy. But it's like, yeah, you're eating healthy, but the body is a thing on its own. So it's like maybe changing on our awareness or like trying to communicate with the body and saying like, hey, I am really okay with eating all the food. I'm okay and my body feels great. And like, you're basically communicating and letting it know that you're doing fine. It's great as if it's just you. but there are other beings within your space trapped in this construct they can't get out of because they might have had the memory wipe, and just like you, they wake up and they're in the body and they're like, huh, what the hell? And they can't leave because the same way we find ourselves in a dream and we're stuck in the environment, they have no ways, no awareness of how to get out, no tools and all this stuff. They're just like, it's not there yet. So one of the things, if you detect these things, like for example, you're scanning yourself and you're like, okay, like what if I feel weird? Like for example, like I have this backache, or every time I try to do something, like I just like feel this weird intention or like maybe feeling states and all this stuff. You can actually pick up, and basically it's a misownership of feelings, thoughts, emotions, and all that. And sometimes this other being is, let's say you want to fall asleep, and this other one's like, no, I want to think about stuff. I want to be aware. And like your body is between falling asleep and being freaking active, between being energetic and being tired, and like just constant fight of how you are now. And you're like basically noticing, like, do I have any pains? Do we have some weird stuff that it's only me experiencing all that crap? And how do I deal with it all? So once you scan your space, do you feel a weird energy within yourself? Maybe around your body, like not necessarily even within, around your space, maybe even. So like you're scanning there, like, yeah, well, the headaches, it's only this specific location. And what if? What if there's like literally another consciousness trapped specifically in there? And they're constantly trying to get out, and they're back like, let me out, let me out. And you're like, ow, it hurts. Like it's not necessarily they're within your physical body, but as the astral self, it's like they're held in prison. Your body's a prison. But it's not like you are bad. They have been forced to come in your body one way or the other. Maybe you've like this whole like astral taking and messing with you and putting it out back was to mess with you in the first place. Maybe you experienced some surgeries and all this stuff. But the thing is, we have this misunderstanding of the problems. And whether it is our physical body reacting or we have some weird stuff going on in life, it does not mean that it's all your fault. It does not mean that all of the issues are actually yours, because other people within our space that we're not aware of, they have their own beliefs. They might be scared. They might be hurt. They might have allergies. They might have their own beliefs. Whatever they have decided in the past life will affect them here if they agree to it. And basically, if you have any chance of noticing it, you're like, hey, seems like I'm the only one who's experiencing this. It's not necessarily you, it's them. And literally, you can either try visualizing or even thinking about it. Like, okay, this being within your space, this being that has a hard time digesting food, this being that constantly like is hurt, like when you're having like your period and you have cramps, or maybe you're all alone, you're like just like can't connect to people. So like you're just focusing on their consciousness, one or maybe many beings within who are afraid, who are hurt, who are reacting to life certain ways. You look through your life and see, where do you have more problems? Do you have your physical pace, like some maybe headaches, cramps, I don't know, like backaches now? Or is there issues within your life areas where you start getting overreactive, you get protective, you get triggers in certain ways? You scan those things. You see, like, where is it that I am experiencing some of these issues that seem kind of like weird, like that no one else has that but just me? What the hell? And when you're focusing on that, literally, there might be beings within your space who are so freaking afraid of people because in the past they've been betrayed, they've been abandoned, they've been killed, they've been lied to, and there's tons of reasons why they might not be able to sort of like let anyone close. And so like, hey, you communicated them. Like, I don't know who you are, but I know you're in pain. You might be hurt. And I don't know how you got here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to free you. And literally, the same ways we have entities sometimes. And instead of destroying them, what we do is we literally create another realm for them. Whether you visualize it or just think about it, you're literally like daydreaming. You don't have to visualize it or see it fully, but like, okay, sort of this like little scenery. Maybe have this like nice ocean and like a shore and like like little mountains in the distance. Maybe you're in a nice farm. There's like a big barn, a few dogs out there, the forest and the river and birds chirping. You just sort of like think of a scene. You don't have to have the whole picture of the world, just like one scene. and sort of create this comfortable world for the being where they would like to live. Maybe you might get the feeling for what they like. Do they like cities? Do you like the countryside? Like what kind of world would they feel comfortable in? You can create your own paradise for them. And literally you create this like with your thoughts, think about it, visualize it, see it, whichever way is best for you. If you cannot visualize it and see it, think about it. Your thoughts, you can do absolutely everything. You're freaking God. You're freaking creative. You can do absolutely anything. So whether you visualize it or you think about it, you literally create this realm for them. And you communicate as being like, hey, I don't know how you got here, but I know that you're trapped. And you can literally think of maybe this energy or just like a being within, and you can like I don't know, like think about as a cloud, as little particles. Think of it like just like taking it like from your space, wherever you feel kind of weirdness, you take it from your body, like just like either visualize it or even do this like, okay, maybe my chest area, like I have the heartache, maybe I have the backache, so you're like, sort of like picking up as if you had it in the box, and sort of just put it in your own created realm. Boom, they teleport, and sort of disconnect them from yourself. So you give them freedom and you make sure that in that realm they can have their own rehab. They can recall their past lives. They can realize, hey, I've been trapped, I've been messed with, but now I am free. I can sort of have my rehab, sort of like restore everything and go on my own and continue my own journey without having to deal with you or anyone else. And so they're free, but all of a sudden you got rid of a being who was in your space all along, who had a lot of issues that were not yours. It was them. And so, like, where you react to people differently, where you're being ignored, where you're having some weird pains and all this stuff, it does not mean that all of it is all yours. Literally, there's another consciousness that might, it's not like everyone will have it, but there are some people who will have these implants. And if you're having some weird ass stuff going on, just make like, what if? What if? Just go with it. See what you find. Like maybe literally you can communicate with those people. You can communicate with beings within. Like, hey, you're trapped within me. And you can actually talk to them. You can hear them. You can feel them if you want. And like not necessarily hear them out loud, but like as a thought, like, hey, like they're within your space. They are considering that they are you. So you have to like deal with that and sort of be able to tell like who's there. And literally consider again, like consider that again as a personality. Maybe go specifically into what kind of being is it? Do they have specific thing? Do they have specific like feeling states, emotions, and all this stuff? You can put like labels on them to make it clearer for yourself if that makes it better. But if you're like just like, hey, they have this thing about them that they're afraid of people, I'm gonna take them by now, and you get them to their own paradise. But like, it's definitely a thing. A lot of our issues are not ours, and we're dealing with it like we're some freaking aliens. Like we're the only ones that are going through this like massive shit. It's not your problem. It's not your stuff. You're not guilty. You're not wrong. You're not bad. You're not weird. It's okay. You're messed with, and a lot of times we don't know about these things. Like we're not aware. Like we're dealing with like it's all our stuff. It doesn't mean it's all yours. So seeing this, I've been working with some people who have had other clusters of like literally consciousness within another vessel. It's kind of like, I don't know, think of a lot of fishes in a fish tank, and each fish is like a consciousness trapped within a physical body. A lot of them feel like, hey, I'm the leader, and then the whole pack is swimming along like a school and all this stuff. So there's a lot of things like that. Like I don't know how to explain it normally. Like I think like Rich 150X, he could like put it in words and actually explain my concept, but like you might get like what I'm saying, and hopefully you can sort of like try to apply it in your life. Like, hey, if you have some weird issues going on, try thinking of it as like literally there is another being within your space. And you feel like maybe you have this rejection, maybe you're going through some weird stuff. Think of it like another being within your space is actually having their own issues. They have their own triggers, they have their own past life, their own case, and you free them from yourself. You give them the freedom, you make sure like they are free and like are able to sort of like remember anything and have their own life on whatever. But you literally take care of like, okay, I am no longer experiencing these things because it wasn't mine in the first place. It was someone else's. And boom, from that moment, you're free. So something to try out. Let me know what you think. And hey, thank you for watching. I hope you're having a great day. You're awesome being. You're freaking awesome. You're powerful. So take care of yourself. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.